Are you going to keep running away from yourself? Yes, you. The one who makes excuses. The one who self-sabotages every time they're about to make progress. Discipline isn't pretty, it's not comfortable, but it's the only thing that can save you from a mediocre life. 3 months. Just 3. Forcing yourself to do what you know you have to do. Are you ready to stop lying to yourself? In this video, you'll discover how discipline, consistency, and self-control, yes, those Stoic pillars you've been underestimating, can radically change your life in just 3 months. No magic formulas or empty motivational quotes. What you'll learn here are real, practical principles the Stoics used to build strong, steady, and courageous lives. Today, you stop relying on motivation and learn to act even when you don't feel like it. Today, my friend, you take full control of your daily decisions. Because if you want a different life, you need to become a different person. Think about it. What if you gave yourself 3 months to completely change your life? No excuses, no distractions, and no giving up halfway. It might not sound like much, but it's enough to become someone new. If you dare to start this challenge with me, subscribe and become an exclusive member so we can build that strong, disciplined version of you together. And seal it in the comments. I accept the 3-month challenge. I'm only asking one thing. Stay until the end because, believe me, today your destiny changes. Lesson 1. Action matters more than knowledge. Picture Epictetus sitting next to you while you're watching self-development videos. He wouldn't say a word. He'd just look at you and ask, "And what have you done with all this?" Because that's the real problem we all face. We know too much and we do too little. You start a course, leave it halfway through. You save a video to your favorites, never watch it. You take beautiful notes, highlight everything perfectly, and then do nothing with it. And you feel productive because you're learning. But Epictetus would tell you the truth. You're not learning, you're collecting information. And collecting information without applying it is just another form of procrastination. We've all got that mental storage closet full of new tools, but not a single thing built. You've got 20 books on habits, but no solid habit. You know how to train, but you don't train. You know how to eat better, but you don't do it. You know how to get organized, but you're still living in chaos. And yet, you keep looking for more information. Another course, another book, another video that will finally give you that missing piece. But the missing piece isn't more knowledge. It's action. It's always been action. Because knowledge only deserves that name when it's applied. Everything else is just noise dressed up as growth. Seneca said it 1,000 times. To know without doing is not to know at all. And he said it so clearly because he'd fallen into that trap himself. He'd studied philosophy for years, read everything, knew everything, but nothing changed until he started living what he knew. Because theory is the map, but action is the walk. And you can have the best map in the world, but if you don't take a single step, you're still in the same place, staring at the paper, studying the route, but never moving. And here's what hurts the most, my friend. The heaviest burden isn't what you don't know. It's what you do know and don't apply. Because every time you don't put something into practice that you know would help you, you're proving to yourself that you don't trust you. Every time you learn something and don't act on it, you're telling yourself that knowledge is more valuable than your own growth. That theory matters more than your transformation. And even if you don't see it right away, that slowly eats away at your self-esteem. Because deep down, you know you could be doing better. You know you have the tools, but you're not using them. And that turns you into a spectator in your own life. Let me ask you something directly. How many videos like this one have you already watched? How many books have you read on productivity, discipline, Stoicism? And how many of those things have you actually applied? This isn't a guilt trip. It's to give you back your power. Because the answer reveals something important. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you're not doing what you already know. And as long as you keep looking for answers outside yourself, you'll keep avoiding the only answer that matters. Act with what you have. The Stoics weren't academic intellectuals. They were practitioners. Epictetus taught that philosophy wasn't for debating in lecture halls. It was for living better, for making better decisions, for staying strong when everything falls apart. And that doesn't come from reading, it comes from doing. Seneca wrote letters filled with practical exercises, not empty speeches. He'd say, "Do this today, reflect on this tonight, apply this principle tomorrow." Because he knew that without action, all the knowledge in the world is worthless. And this applies to everything. Think about a chef. They can watch 1,000 cooking videos, read 1,000 recipes, study every technique. But if they never cook, they'll never be a chef. The knowledge is there, yes, but the skill, the experience, the real growth, that only comes when you get your hands dirty, when you mess up, when you burn something, when you try again. Same with your life. You can study how to be disciplined, but until you sit down and work, even when you don't feel like it, you're not disciplined. You can read about courage, but until you do the thing that scares you, you're not brave. Action is what transforms knowledge into character, and character is all that matters when life gets hard. Lesson 2. The process is also a victory. Imagine a staircase covered in fog. You can't see the end, only the next step. Every step you take feels small, maybe even pointless. But if you keep climbing, the fog slowly clears. That staircase is life. No one gets a full view of the summit, just the chance to take the next step. And most people quit because they can't stand not seeing fast results. They want to skip to the end, without accepting that real growth is hidden in the journey. Epictetus used to say to his students, "First, tell me what kind of person you want to be. Then act accordingly." On the surface, it sounds simple, but it's actually a life-defining statement. You are not defined by what you achieve, but by what you do every day to get closer to it. Real change happens in the process, in those moments where no one applauds, when you doubt yourself, when you keep going, even though you don't know if it will work. The modern world has made us believe everything should be instant. We want to change our lives in a week, see results in a month, and feel different overnight. But that's not how the mind, the body, or the soul works. Discipline and consistency are like water on stone. They don't break it in one hit. They shape it over time. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, after leading battles, signing decrees, and enduring betrayal, wrote in his journal every night, not to brag about his triumphs, but to examine his mistakes, his reactions, his thoughts. He did it in silence, with no audience, because he knew that becoming better was more important than being recognized. That was how he grew, by facing himself every single day with honesty. And that's the part most people don't want to accept, that growth hurts, that the process doesn't always look good, that sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But right there, in that space where you feel stuck, is where you're changing the most. When you master patience, when you learn to keep going without seeing results, that's when you start building a strength no one can take from you. Seneca said it clearly, "Nothing blooms instantly under force. Anything truly valuable takes time. A tree doesn't bear fruit the day it's planted. First, it grows roots, even if no one sees them." That's what's happening with you. While others only care about the fruits, you're strengthening what will hold them up. That invisible part of the process is what truly transforms you. So ask yourself, are you comparing yourself to other people's progress or to your own growth? Because the ones who truly move forward don't look sideways. They look back, only to see how far they've come. The real competition isn't out there, it's with yourself. The real win isn't arriving first, it's not stopping. Think of that person who trains alone every morning. No music, no cameras, no one watching, just their breath and determination. No one sees them, no one congratulates them. But right there, in the silence, they're building character. The same thing happens with you when you push yourself without recognition. That invisible effort is what makes you stronger, more focused, more free. Start tracking your small wins. Write down each day you did what you said you would, even if it was just a tiny step. Change how you view progress. Instead of thinking, "I'm not there yet," say, "I'm not where I used to be." Because every day you stay the course, even without seeing change, you're closer than you think. And when you feel frustrated, remember, slow days count too. They're the ones that build your resilience. They're the days that force you to trust in your own process. You're not going backwards, you're maturing. The process is a victory, because it's the only part you control. The results will come when they come. But the journey is shaping you in silence. Every step, every fall, every try, they're molding you into the person you said you wanted to be. 3 months of consistency can transform your life more than 10 years of half-hearted efforts. Not because they're magical, but because they force you to believe in the process, not the result. And when you learn that, everything changes. If you've made it this far, I already know. There's something in you that won't let you quit. You've fallen, you've doubted, but you're still here, still searching for how to become better. And that says a lot about you, but there's still one spark missing. The one that connects everything. Because you can have discipline, consistency, and strength. But if you don't transform the way you think, you'll stay stuck in the same limits. What's coming next isn't just another lesson. It's the one that ignites everything you've built so far. Lesson 3. Use every blow as a step. My friend, if every time life slaps you, all you do is focus on the mark it leaves, you'll end up covered in scars like an unfinished painting. But if you use them well, those marks can turn into something beautiful. Like a Picasso, messy, unique, impossible to ignore. And since you're here, why not turn each blow into a step towards something better? Because sooner or later they come. That feeling that everything's going wrong, that the universe has perfect aim and hits you right when you're most tired, you can't avoid it. And of course it hurts. But you know what? Every blow can be a step if you learn where to put your foot. Failure is like dominoes. They fall one after another, making a racket, leaving a mess. But they also clearly show you where not to go again. Sometimes they even form a whole new path, if you're brave enough to really look at it. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't talking about ignoring pain or pretending it doesn't hurt. He was saying that precisely what's blocking you right now is exactly the material you need to keep moving forward. If you don't believe me, think about the story of Benjamin Hardy. This psychologist and author was about to finish his PhD when he was told he couldn't give a TEDx talk at the very event he was helping organize. Of course it crushed him. But instead of locking himself away to sulk, he put together a small online workshop with the ideas he'd planned to present. Within a year, over 100,000 people had seen it. That no that hurt so much ended up being the first yes to something far bigger than he'd imagined. And what about you? How can you use each blow as a step? Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon. You're at the gym right after work, still wearing a half-wrinkled t-shirt and carrying a water bottle with a peeling sticker. You've been crossing paths for weeks with that girl who always does squats in the corner and smiles when she sees you. Today, you finally work up the courage, walk over just as she's adjusting her weights and say a little clumsily, "Hey, would you like to grab a drink sometime?" She looks at you, smiles kindly, and says, "Oh, you're really sweet, but I'm already seeing someone." Your face turns red, you swallow hard, pretend you're going for more water, and then you pass by a sign that says, "Boxing classes Tuesday and Thursday." Without thinking much, you sign up that very night. And the next week, in the middle of class, between jabs and laughter, you end up sparring with a partner who says, "You're new, right? But you've got good style." And there, among sweat and gloves, you realize that rejection pushed you straight into something better. Because that's how it works. If you use the blows in your favor, even when you don't feel like it, you can start to look unrecognizable in just a week. So, my friend, next time, write down exactly what hurt on a note, with all the details, but finish the sentence with, "And I'm still here." You'll see how it changes what you feel. Then, I dare you to tell your failure to a friend like it's a funny story, just to take away its power. And also, set yourself a small challenge you can complete that same week to keep moving, even if it's just fixing that wobbly chair in your kitchen, or finally sending that email you've been putting off. The slaps hurt, yes, but no one becomes unrecognizable by staying on the floor. Every blow you use as a step lifts you another rung. And if you choose to act like a Stoic and refuse to let the blows knock you down, in 7 days you too can start looking in the mirror and seeing someone who doesn't look like they did before. Lesson 4. Don't neglect the simple things. You say, "I'll do it later." And that later has more broken promises than a politician on the campaign trail. Marcus Aurelius would probably look at you with that patient, fatherly expression, because he understood something you're still learning. What transforms your life the most isn't the big wins. It's the small actions you repeat every day. Those simple things you ignore because they seem insignificant, but they're not. They're what hold everything together, and when you neglect them, even if it doesn't seem like a big deal, you're neglecting your entire life. How many little things have you put off for tomorrow, even though you know they'd bring you peace today? That dish left in the sink, that conversation you've been avoiding, that unopened email, that messy space, that tiny decision you keep postponing. They seem like nothing, but each one is a small weight that adds up. And when you've got 100 tiny weights on your back, you feel exhausted and don't even know why. Epictetus said that neglecting small things is the fastest way to neglect everything, because the small doesn't stay small. It grows, it multiplies, and eventually it takes over your entire life. Imagine Marcus Aurelius in the morning, arranging his desk, preparing his ink, adjusting his lamp. He didn't have to do it. He had people for that. But he did it anyway, because to him, disorder in the simple things led to disorder in the essential things. If he neglected the small, he'd end up neglecting the big, and he couldn't afford that. He ruled an empire. But you can't afford it either, because you rule your own life. And if you neglect the simple things in your life, you end up feeling like everything is out of control. Not because it actually is, but because you let it unravel. Your life is like a rope. It doesn't snap all at once. It wears down thread by thread through small acts of neglect that you ignore. The Stoics reinforced those threads every day. They didn't wait for the rope to break. They took care of the small things before they became big problems, before the manageable turned into the unmanageable. And that's exactly what you need to do. Don't wait for everything to pile up and explode. Tend to each thread every day, because that's easier than repairing the whole rope once it's broken. Seneca explained that the soul becomes restless when life is full of unresolved little things. They don't have to be big, just unfinished conversations, cluttered spaces, decisions you keep delaying, promises to yourself that you don't keep. Each one is like a background app running in your mind. It drains your energy, creates noise, and even if you don't notice it directly, it wears you down. That's why you feel tired even if nothing major has happened, because 100 tiny things are quietly eating away at your mental energy. Maybe this sounds familiar. You let dishes pile up for days. You leave your room a mess. You don't open your emails. You avoid conversations. And one day you wake up and everything feels heavy, but nothing big happened. It just all feels like too much. That's because you neglected the simple things. And when simple things pile up, they become chaos. And chaos is exhausting. It fogs your mind. It holds you back. It traps you in a loop of vague anxiety you can't seem to resolve. And here's what you need to understand. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you're incapable. It's that you've normalized neglecting the simple things. You've made "I'll do it later" your standard response, like that later is actually going to happen. But it doesn't. Later never comes, it just accumulates, and every time you say later, you're choosing weight over lightness, chaos over order, anxiety over peace. And while you might not notice the effects right away, they're shaping your entire life into something heavier than it needs to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote every night because he knew if he skipped a day, he'd skip a week. And if he skipped a week, he'd skip a month. That what starts as a small oversight becomes a massive problem when ignored. So he kept up his practice, not because he was perfect, but because he understood that greatness doesn't come from epic moments. It comes from consistently caring for the ordinary ones, from doing what needs to be done each day, even if it's not exciting, even if no one sees, even if there's no applause. Lesson 5. Lower your ego and be honest with yourself. Have you ever given a friend the perfect piece of advice and then gone and done the exact opposite yourself? Don't worry. Marcus Aurelius would have raised an eyebrow too, because we all have this incredible ability to clearly see other people's problems while being completely blind to our own. And that's no accident, that's ego. But not the ego that thinks you're better than others. It's the ego that stops you from looking yourself in the eye, the one that helps you justify the unjustifiable, the one that whispers elegant excuses when deep down, you know you're avoiding the truth. And that ego, that quiet self-deception, is the #1 saboteur of your growth. How many times have you lied to yourself and said, "I'm fine," when you knew full well you weren't? How many times have you said, "It's nothing," when inside you were falling apart? How many bad decisions have you justified just because admitting the mistake would make you feel weak? Marcus Aurelius wrote every night for one reason: to avoid lying to himself, to be brutally honest in his journal, because he understood something you're still learning. The worst kind of lie is the one you tell yourself, because no one sees that one. There are no witnesses, just you. And every time you lie to yourself, you lose a little bit of who you are. Ego is like a camera with a flattering filter. It makes you look better than your actions, or worse than your worth. It distorts reality to shield you from the discomfort of seeing yourself clearly. And that might sound useful, protecting you, but it's really holding you back. Because as long as you can't see yourself clearly, you can't change clearly either. The Stoics worked hard to look at their lives without filters, raw, real, but without self-judgment. Not to punish themselves, but to grow from truth, not illusion. Here's the problem. Ego isn't just arrogance. It's avoiding responsibility. It's justifying what you know isn't right. It's pretending something doesn't hurt when it's tearing you apart inside. It's resisting change because admitting it would make you look weak. It's saying, "I don't need help," when you're barely holding on. It's arguing just to avoid saying you were wrong. It's comparing yourself to others, then telling yourself you don't care. All of that, every bit, is ego trying to protect you from truth. And yes, truth hurts. But lies keep you stuck. Seneca said the worst kind of lie is the one we tell ourselves, not to sound philosophical, but because he'd been there. He spent years maintaining an image on the outside, while knowing on the inside he wasn't living in alignment. And one day, he realized living like that was living in a cage, that the only way to be free was to be honest, even if it hurt, even if it meant facing his flaws, because only truth can build something real. Lies only build sandcastles, and the first wave knocks them down. You've probably lived this scene. Someone points out a mistake, something you did wrong, and your first reaction isn't to listen, it's to defend, justify, explain why it wasn't your fault, blame the circumstances. And maybe by the end of the conversation you win, but you lost something else, the chance to grow. Because ego convinced you that admitting a mistake made you weak, when in reality, it's the strongest thing you can do. Epictetus said no one changes until they stop telling themselves stories. And that's exactly what ego does. It tells you stories to keep you from the discomfort of facing yourself. I once heard Tim Ferriss talk about ego in a way that stuck with me for days. He said something like, "Ego is that voice that would rather be right than grow." And he told a simple but brutal story. When he started his podcast, he pretended everything was fine, that he didn't need help, that he could handle it all. He rejected feedback, ignored criticism, said nothing bothered him. But inside, he was falling apart. Pressure, insecurity, fear of failing. And still, he kept up the image of "I'm strong, I'm fine." Until one day, after an episode that went terribly, he finally admitted what he'd been avoiding for years. "I don't know what I'm doing, and I need to learn." That was his breaking point, and also his breakthrough. What mattered wasn't the failure, it was the honesty. Because the moment he stopped performing the perfect version of himself, he gained clarity. And clarity brings peace, direction, real strength. not the kind you fake. That's exactly what the Stoics meant by humility, not tearing yourself down, not minimizing your value, but seeing yourself clearly without decoration and without drama, seeing what you need to work on and working on it, building from truth, not from the mask. Sixth lesson: if you control your mornings, you control your destiny. Each morning is like a blank page. Some people fill it with complaints, stress, and distractions. Others write it with calm, focus, and purpose. The difference isn't luck, it's habit. Because what you do when you open your eyes sets the tone for your entire day. Picture your day like a train. If the first few meters go in the wrong direction, the rest of the ride will too. That's why the way you start your mornings can completely transform the direction of your life. Marcus Aurelius knew this. Before facing his empire, his armies, and the decisions that could alter Rome's destiny, he started in silence. Not with meetings, not with commands, but by writing in his journal. In those early lines, by the light of dawn, he organized his mind. He prepared for the day like a warrior sharpening his sword before battle. He didn't expect the day to be easy, but he did choose how he would face it. Epictetus spoke of the same thing, preparing each morning for difficulty, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The Stoic understood that the morning was his mental training ground. Have you noticed how just a little morning sunlight changes your mood? Try it. Step outside for 5 minutes, let the light hit your face, breathe deeply. It's no coincidence you feel better. Science backs this up. When you expose yourself to natural light after waking, move your body a bit and focus your attention, your brain literally resets. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist at Stanford, explains that those first few minutes of the day activate your attention systems and reset your biological clock. In other words, you're telling your body and mind, wake up, something new begins today. And the most fascinating part is that the Stoics were already doing this 2,000 years ago, without knowing anything about neurons or hormones. They walked at sunrise, wrote down their thoughts, trained their bodies, and prepared their minds for the day ahead. They didn't call it science, they called it balance, because they understood that if you began in harmony with nature, the rest of your day would flow with purpose. But most of us do the opposite. You probably do it too. You wake up chasing the clock. You look at your phone before you look at yourself in the mirror. You consume news, messages, to-do lists, and let the world decide your mood. But that has to change. It's time to force yourself to grow. You can choose a different routine. You can turn your mornings into your moment of power. Because if you control those first hours, you control your day. And if you control your days, you control your destiny. Epictetus said the wise man prepares each day for whatever may come. That practice wasn't a mystical ritual, it was training. A daily reminder that you can't control the world, but you can control how you face it. If every morning you take just a moment to ask what kind of person you want to be today, you're already exercising power over yourself. And that power held for 3 months can change everything. Start simple. Before you check your phone, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what do I want to bring to the world today? It doesn't matter if the answer is small. What matters is starting with intention, not distraction. You can jot down one line in a notebook, go for a walk, drink a glass of water while you think, or just sit quietly. Those first few minutes belong to you. Defend them like they're sacred. If staying organized is hard for you, there's a modern technique that might help. Laura Vanderkam, a time management expert, suggests the 90-minute rule. Dedicate the first 90 minutes of your day to what matters most to you, not what's most urgent. That one habit creates a domino effect. Because when you start with what's essential, the rest of your day stops feeling like a race against the clock. The Stoics didn't talk about productivity. They talked about purpose. And purpose is built in small, repeated acts. If you use your mornings to strengthen your mind, organize your thoughts, and remind yourself what really matters, little by little, you'll become someone more grounded, more consistent, and more in control. 3 months of disciplined mornings can change your life more than years of winging it. Morning discipline doesn't mean waking up at 5 a.m. or following a perfect routine. It means deciding each morning that you're going to start well, even if yesterday was a disaster. It's choosing order over chaos. It's remembering that you set the tone. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." That's why he wrote at dawn, because he knew that if he could master his thoughts at the start of the day, nothing and no one could master him after. Lesson 7. Write, read, and act immediately. You say, "I'll start tomorrow," and your brain says, "Perfect. Let's also postpone organizing this pile of thoughts you've got here." Because that's what happens when you don't write, when you don't read with intention, when you don't act immediately. Thoughts pile up, ideas get lost, intentions rot, and you end up living on autopilot, with a mind full of noise that you never filter. The Stoics had 3 tools to avoid that. 3 simple rituals that transformed their mind and their life: writing to see themselves, reading to grow, acting to live. And today, in this final point, I'm going to show you how to use them too. Picture Marcus Aurelius at night after an exhausting day. The generals are asleep, the camp is quiet, and he opens his notebook. He's not writing to be remembered. He's not writing to publish anything. He's writing so he doesn't lose himself. Because he understood something that you still need to learn. Your mind without paper becomes a maze. Thoughts spin endlessly without going anywhere. Emotions get tangled up, and you can't tell them apart. Decisions get confusing because everything's jumbled. But when you write, when you take it out of your head and put it on paper, something magical happens. It gets sorted, it gets clearer, it becomes manageable. Do you really listen to yourself, or do you just think? Because thinking and listening aren't the same. Thinking is letting thoughts run wild. Listening is stopping them, looking at them, writing them down. And that's where the power lies. Marcus Aurelius didn't write pretty phrases. He wrote uncomfortable truths. He wrote to see himself without filters, to spot his own self-deceptions, to understand why he acted the way he did, to make decisions more clearly. And that's what writing does for you. It forces you to be honest. Because when you write, you can't run from yourself. It's right there, in ink, staring you in the face. I know someone who was full of anxiety. Their head was all over the place. They didn't know where to start. They decided to start writing 3 lines a day, just 3, nothing deep. Just how they felt in that moment. And they discovered something. What they thought was chaos was just unfiltered noise. When they wrote it down, they realized most of their worries weren't real. They were just thoughts their mind kept repeating. That's how Seneca worked. He would clarify his emotions by writing them out. Not to solve everything all at once, to see them clearly. Because when you can see something clearly, you can act. When you only feel it without seeing it, it paralyzes you. Our thoughts are like clothes in a room. If you don't take them out, they pile up, start to stink, and take over the space. Writing is airing out the room. It's pulling everything out and letting it breathe. You don't need to write pages. You don't need to be a poet. You just need to get out what's spinning in your head. 3 lines, 5, whatever. But do it. Because every time you write, you're creating distance between you and your thoughts. And that distance is what lets you see them with perspective. Without that distance, you are your thoughts. With it, you observe your thoughts. And that changes everything. But writing alone isn't enough. You also need to read. And not just anything. Read with intention. The Stoics didn't read to pile up information. They read to expand their minds, to find ideas that challenge them. That made them think differently. Seneca said the mind needs nourishment just like the body. And if you feed your body junk, it gets sick. The same happens to your mind. If you feed it empty content, endless scrolling, constant noise, it gets weak. It loses its ability to think deeply. You don't need to read entire books every week. You just need to read something every day. 10 minutes. One idea. Something that makes you think. Something that expands how you see the world. It could be a book, an article, a letter from Seneca, whatever. But it should be nourishing. It should give you something real. Because every idea you consume becomes part of you. And if you only consume shallow ideas, you become shallow. If you consume deep ideas, you become deep. It's that simple. And here comes the most important thing. You can write all you want, you can read all you want, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Epictetus said it clearly. If you don't act in the moment, the idea rots. Because ideas have an expiration date. That moment when you think, I should do this, is the moment to do it. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. Because if you leave it for later, it disappears. It gets lost in the noise. And in a week, you won't even remember you thought of it. Lesson 8. Protect your time like it's treasure. One day, Seneca received a letter from his friend Lucilius that said, I don't know how, but time keeps slipping through my fingers. And Seneca responded with a sentence that should be written on every front door. Nothing belongs to us except time. Almost 2,000 years have passed, and that line is still an uncomfortable mirror. Because time doesn't just slip away from us anymore, we give it away. We hand it over willingly, to screens, to noise, to comparisons, to everything that doesn't bring us closer to who we want to become. Think about it. Time is a lot like breath. Every inhale is a reminder that something is leaving and something new is beginning. You can't store the air you breathe or save it for tomorrow. If you try, you suffocate. It's the same with your days. You can't stockpile them. You either live them with intention or let them slip by without meaning. The Stoic understood this well. It wasn't about stopping time, but learning to breathe consciously within it. Seneca and his fellow Stoics spoke of otium, time well spent. It wasn't empty leisure, it was full presence. It was space you gave yourself to think, write, train the soul. Today we confuse movement with progress. We rush from one thing to the next, without realizing that most of the time we're not breathing. We're gasping. We don't live time, we just survive it. Now imagine this. What if I told you that you only have 4,000 weeks to live? It sounds like a lot, but it's not. 4,000 sunrises, 4,000 chances to start differently. And yet we let them pass by like they're infinite. That, as Oliver Burkeman explains in his book 4,000 Weeks, is the average human lifespan. Not an eternity, a countdown. And understanding that shouldn't depress you. It should wake you up. Because once you accept that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter and start living it with purpose. Every breath becomes a choice. Every day, an opportunity to use your energy meaningfully. Tell me the truth, my friend. When was the last time you felt like your time truly belonged to you? Not work time, not screen time, not what you give to others. Yours. That moment where you listen to yourself, center yourself, exist without distraction. If you can't remember, it's probably because you've been giving it away without realizing. And the time you don't claim, someone else will. Seneca wrote, "It's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot of it." And he was right. We complain the day isn't long enough, but we fill it with things that don't matter. The problem isn't a lack of hours, it's a lack of focus. Discipline isn't just about doing more, it's about protecting what you do with what you have. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself, "Act as if every action were your last." He didn't say that to be dramatic, but to be precise. Because living as if every breath counts doesn't mean rushing. It means living with intention. Every time you say yes to something you don't really want, you're giving away a bit of your breath, and no one can breathe for you. Saying no isn't selfish, it's mental survival. Before you commit, ask yourself, do I really want to give part of my life to this? If it's not a clear yes, it's a disguised no. Protect your moments of silence like you'd protect a safe house. Guard your pauses like they're oxygen, because they are. Carve out time for yourself without guilt, and use it to create, to reflect, or simply to be. Sometimes you don't need to run faster, you just need to breathe again. The Stoics knew that a valuable life isn't measured by how long it is, but by how deeply it's lived. 3 months of fully lived days can change more than years of distraction. That's why time control starts with something simple: learning to pause. Time is that invisible breath that reminds us we're alive. You can't hold on to it, but you can decide how you spend it. And every time you choose to use it with intention, you're practicing discipline, building consistency, and regaining control over yourself. Treat it like the air that keeps your inner flame alive. Don't waste it on anything that doesn't nourish your mind or your soul. Every minute you reclaim is a win against inertia. So here's something to try. This week, before you go to bed, pause and ask yourself, what did I breathe in today? Did it give me life or take it from me? If the second one wins, tomorrow's your chance to begin again. Because transformation doesn't happen in one big leap. It comes with every conscious choice. Discipline yourself, stay consistent, force yourself to grow. Because once you learn to protect your time, my friend, you stop merely surviving and start truly living. 9th lesson, from I can't to I will. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up every day feeling capable. Sometimes he'd write things like, I'm tired, I'm irritable, I don't want to get up. And yet, he was clear on one thing. His duty didn't depend on his mood. What he had to do didn't wait for him to feel ready. And that's the difference between those who build their lives on personal responsibility and those who wait to feel motivated. The first group acts even when they don't feel capable. The second waits to feel capable before acting. And while they wait, life passes by. How many times have you said, I can't, when what you really meant was, I don't want to put in the effort, or I'm afraid to fail? Let's be honest. Most of the time you say I can't, it's not true. You can, but you're scared, or lazy, or unsure where to start, or you're afraid that if you try and fail, it'll prove you're not good enough. So you use I can't as a shield, a clever excuse that protects you from the discomfort of trying. Epictetus said the hard part isn't taking action, it's changing the belief that holds you back. Because action is just the final step. But if your mind has already decided you can't, you'll never get there. Your mind is like an inner narrator that's been repeating the same script for years. I can't speak in public. I can't change careers. I can't get up early. I can't stop procrastinating. You've said it so often that now you believe it. But Stoicism didn't ask you to change your life first. It asked you to change the script. Because when you change what you tell yourself, what you do changes. And when what you do changes, who you are changes too. Now think of something you say you can't do. Running, studying, changing careers, having that important conversation, starting that project, whatever it is. And ask yourself honestly, is it true that I can't, or is it true that I'm afraid to try? Because there's a huge difference. I can't is final. It's a sentence. I'm scared is temporary. It's something you can work with. And most of the time when you say, I can't, what's really going on is you're afraid to discover that you can. But it'll take more effort than you expected. Seneca knew the first enemy is the inner narrative. What you tell yourself, you live. If you say you can't, you won't. Not because it's true, but because you won't even try. Your mind already made the decision for you. But if you change that phrase, if instead of I can't you say, it's hard but I'll try today, something opens up, a possibility, a crack in the wall of your limitation, and that crack is enough to start. The process is simple but powerful. First, question the thought. Is it really true that I can't, or do I just believe that? Second, focus on what you can control. You can't control the outcome, but you can control whether you spend 10 minutes today trying. Third, take one small action that contradicts the script. If you say you can't write one sentence. If you say you can't run, walk for 5 minutes. That action creates new confidence, and confidence rewrites your identity. Because now you're not someone who can't, you're someone who's trying. And that changes everything. Epictetus didn't change his life by moving mountains. He changed his life by changing his attitude toward what he couldn't control. He couldn't change the fact that he was a slave. He couldn't fix his injured leg. He couldn't control his external circumstances, but he could control how he responded. And in that response, he found freedom. Because freedom isn't having an easy life. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you decide how you act. And that decision, that's what separates living as a victim of your circumstances from living as the architect of your character. You know who Rick Rubin is? Well, you might know him as that mega producer who's worked with half the planet, from rap to rock, from rising artists to living legends. Today we see him as a genius, but nobody sees how it really started. Before all of that, Rick was just a shy student with no connections, no money, and a half-broken tape recorder in his dorm room. And the funniest thing? He used to say that phrase you've repeated 1,000 times. I can't. I can't break into the industry. I can't make music without a studio. I can't compete with the big names. But one day he told himself something else. Not I can't, but I don't know how, but I'm doing it anyway. And he recorded his first project right there in his tiny room. The sound was terrible, full of noise, totally imperfect, but it existed. It was real. It was action. Lesson 10. True discipline is what you do when no one is watching. We all have two versions of ourselves, the public one and the I'll eat another slice of pizza even though I said I wouldn't one. The version that shows up when there are witnesses and the one that appears when you're alone. Marcus Aurelius had both too, but he spent years working to make them the same. Because he understood something you're still learning. The real measure of your character isn't what you do when people clap for you. It's what you do when no one is looking, when there's no validation, no recognition, when it's just you and your word. What do you do when no one is watching? That's the most honest answer to who you really are. Because right there, in that moment of solitude, is where your real discipline gets tested. Not on stage, not in front of a camera, not when your friends are watching, but when you're alone in your room, choosing between doing what you said you'd do or giving up because no one will know. Epictetus said that the wise person is their own guardian. They don't need witnesses. They don't need supervision, because their commitment isn't to others, it's to themselves. Imagine Marcus Aurelius in his tent before dawn, alone, writing so he wouldn't lose himself. No cameras, no soldiers watching, no applause. No one would have known if he skipped that night. No one would have judged him, but he would have known. And for a Stoic, that was enough. Because real discipline doesn't grow from applause. It grows from inner coherence. From keeping your word even when no one is looking, even when no one finds out, even when no one congratulates you. That is the discipline that builds character. The other one, the one that needs an audience, is just a performance. And let's be honest, it's easy to be disciplined when there are witnesses. It's easy to train when you go with friends. It's easy to work when there's a deadline. It's easy to be kind when strangers are watching. Because there's social pressure. There are expectations. There are visible consequences if you fail. But when you're alone, when no one will see if you mess up, when you could quit and absolutely no one would know, that's where your true self appears. And most people fail there. Not because they're bad, because they've only trained external discipline, not internal discipline, and those two are not the same. Imagine that on social media you look extremely disciplined. You post gym pics, project progress, your perfect routine. But at home you procrastinate on everything. Your room is messy, your projects half done, your promises to yourself broken, and no one knows, only you. Seneca would say that appearance without practice corrupts the soul. Because living that way means living divided, holding up an image that doesn't match the truth, and that exhausts you. Because you have to maintain two versions of yourself. And when you're alone, you know which one is the real one. What you do when no one sees builds your self-esteem. What you do when people see builds your reputation. The Stoics chose the first one because they knew reputation is fragile. It depends on others. It shifts with opinions. But self-esteem is built through private actions, through decisions only you know about, through moments where you chose to follow through even though no one was watching. And those decisions are the ones that make you trust yourself, because you know your word matters, that when you promise yourself something, you keep it. And no like, no comment, no applause can give you that feeling. Epictetus practiced inner silence when he was a slave. No one saw it, no one knew it. But he trained his mind every single day. He trained himself not to depend on circumstances, to hold his center even when everything was chaos. And he didn't do it to impress anyone. He did it because he knew his inner freedom couldn't depend on external validation. That if he needed witnesses to stay disciplined, then he wasn't free. He was dependent. Seneca spent every night examining his day, without witnesses, without anyone checking if he did it right or wrong. He'd ask himself, where did I fail today? Where could I have acted better? Was I aligned with my values? And he answered himself with brutal honesty, not to punish himself, to improve. Because he understood that private discipline is the foundation of all real growth, that what you do when no one watches determines who you become when everyone is watching. Lesson 11. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. If Marcus Aurelius were alive today, he wouldn't be staring at the loading screen of his life, waiting for it to hit 100%. He'd be acting with what he's got, today. But you, me, all of us have this terrible habit of waiting. We wait until Monday to start the habit. We wait for next month to sign up for the gym. We wait to have more money, more time, more clarity. And in the meantime, life slips away like water through your fingers. You know what's really going on? The perfect moment doesn't exist. It's an illusion you made up to protect yourself from the fear of failing. And every day you feed that illusion, you take one step further from the version of yourself you could become. Picture Marcus Aurelius with 1,000 tabs open in his head. A war to manage, an empire in crisis, illness, political betrayal. He had every excuse in the world to say, "Not today, I'll think about it tomorrow." But no, he wrote down his reflections every night. Not because he had the perfect moment, but because he understood something you're still learning. Life doesn't happen in ideal moments. It happens in real ones. And real moments are full of doubt, exhaustion, noise. The Stoics didn't wait to feel ready. They acted precisely when it was uncomfortable, because they knew that's where real growth happens. So think about it, my friend. How many times have you said, "When I have time, when I'm more organized, when this phase passes"? Seneca would have smiled with a bit of sadness if he'd heard you, because that's just another fancy excuse not to start. Seneca spent much of his work breaking down that illusion, that there will be time later. The truth is, you don't know. You don't know how many days you've got left. You don't know how many more chances you'll get. The only thing you do have is today, this moment, with all its flaws. And if you don't start today, tomorrow will just be another today with the same renewed list of excuses. Let's be honest, you're not lacking information. You've got more courses than a master's degree, more downloaded books than time to read them, more saved videos than days in a year. Your problem isn't that you don't know what to do. Your problem is that you're waiting for a sign that's never going to come. You're waiting for the stars to align, for your mind to be clear, for your life to be in order. But life is never in order. Life is controlled chaos, at best. And those who move forward, those who truly transform their reality through consistent action and personal responsibility, they don't wait for things to be perfect. They start with what they've got. They start badly, scared, unsure of whether it'll work. But they start. Let me show you something. Imagine two people, Anna and Carlos. They're both in their early 30s. They both want to switch careers. Anna signs up for course after course, reads everything she can, asks for advice, makes detailed plans. She says that once she's 100% ready, she'll make the leap. Carlos, on the other hand, signs up for a basic course, finishes half of it, and starts looking for small projects to get experience. He makes mistakes at first, gets things wrong, but he keeps going. 5 years later, Anna's still getting ready, still waiting for the perfect moment. Carlos has been working in what he loves for 3 years now, gaining real experience, growing. See the difference? It's not about talent. It's not about information. It's about decision. Epictetus would say Anna doesn't have a problem with lack of opportunity. She has a problem with lack of action. She's stuck in permanent preparation, which is just another form of procrastination dressed up as wisdom. Endless waiting is fear. You know it, don't you? Behind every "not yet," there's a fear hiding. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of being seen failing. Fear of finding out you're not as great as you thought. And that's okay. We all feel that fear. But here's the difference between people who build their lives with discipline and action, and those who just dream about it. The first group acts with fear. They don't wait for it to disappear. Marcus Aurelius made decisions in the middle of war. With no perfect data, no time to overthink, he decided and owned the consequences. Because he understood something brutal but freeing. It's better to be wrong while taking action than to be right while just imagining. Lesson 12. Pause, breathe, and choose your response. Picture this. You're at work and someone hits you right where it hurts. That's impossible. You have no idea what you're doing. In less than a second, your blood rushes to your face, your hands clench. You're already about to launch into a full-on soap opera finale, with shouting, dagger eyes, and words you didn't even know you knew. And yes, you let it all out. Every last word. And when you're done, the silence weighs heavier than the original comment. Because now it's too late and you regret it. Now picture it again. The exact same scene, the same words. Only this time you stop for 3 seconds. You take a breath, and you respond with a calm question, almost with a faint smile. Why do you think it's impossible? Nothing more. The other person freezes. You stay whole, and the whole room doesn't go up in flames. Maybe now you're thinking that wouldn't work, that it's too simple to be true. But no, my friend, it's not silly. It actually works. Lori Gottlieb, therapist and author of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, explains it on her podcast. She says that when you get used to inserting a small space between stimulus and response, not only do your relationships improve, so does your self-esteem. Because you stop being a puppet that reacts as soon as someone pushes a button, and you become someone who calmly decides what to do. And it's not just a modern psychologist thing. Epictetus already knew it centuries ago. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it that affects you." In those 3 seconds, you decide whether you're the master of yourself or a slave to your emotions. No, it's not easy, especially when the words sting and the urge to explode is right on the tip of your tongue. But right there, in that pause, is where your transformation begins. If you can train that pause for 7 days, my friend, you won't even recognize yourself. Not because the world changes, but because you stop catching fire at every little spark. And believe me, people notice. So, are you ready to turn those 3 seconds into your superpower, like a true Stoic? Here are 3 ways to train it this week and see results. First, when you feel your body tense up, raise your eyebrows just slightly and breathe through your nose. Yes, that's simple. This little gesture tricks your brain and calms you down. Then, try the box breathing technique some soldiers use to stay calm before going into combat. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and wait another 4. You can do it discreetly while someone else is talking. For example, in a meeting, while the boss dishes out criticism, you're already controlling your breath. And when it's your turn, you respond with firmness, not anger. That's exactly what Epictetus recommended. Retreat within yourself. And this kind of breathing is a perfect way to do it. And yes, you might be thinking maybe breathing alone won't cut it. So here's another trick. Count to 5 in another language, even if your accent is terrible. Uno, zwei, trois, cuatro. Whatever. Your brain can't stay mad and translate at the same time. If you do it in the middle of an argument, it might even draw a smile from the other person. Finally, before opening your mouth, ask yourself, how would this sound if I said it on a podcast? If it seems too crazy or embarrassing to record, don't say it. Stay quiet, breathe, and choose a better response. Big explosions always start with tiny sparks. If you want to be unrecognizable in just 7 days, become that person who knows how to put out the spark before it burns everything down. That calm not only changes the way others see you, more than anything, it changes the way you see yourself. And now tell me, when was the last time you took a breath before responding? And it saved you. Share it in the comments. Your experience could inspire and help someone who's still learning to control their spark. Or just write, "Today I breathe before I speak," to remind yourself that calm begins with a single breath. Lesson 13. Your body obeys, but your mind decides. Rome, early morning. Emperor Marcus Aurelius rises before dawn. Outside, the cold cuts through to the bone and his body trembles. He has a fever, his hands are heavy, his eyelids droop. Everything in him begs for rest. But he sits down, takes the parchment, and writes. At dawn, when you struggle to get up, remind yourself that you were born to work with others. He writes it to remind himself, not to give in to his body, but to obey reason. In that moment, with no soldiers, no speeches, he shows the true strength of a Stoic. His body obeys, his mind decides. That scene may seem insignificant, but it says everything. The body seeks comfort, the disciplined mind seeks purpose. The problem is, most people live the other way around. They let the body lead, let their mood decide, let emotion dictate whether or not they take action. And so the days go by, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Your body is a soldier. It needs a commander to give the order. If the commander hesitates, the army falls apart. If the commander stands firm, the body follows. But when the mind gives up, the body finds 1,000 excuses not to move. And the strange thing is, it's not really the tiredness that stops you. It's how you interpret it. As Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. It's not pain that's the enemy, but what you think when you feel it. Think about it. How many times have you promised to hit the gym, to study, or just to keep your word? And the moment your body complained, you gave in? In truth, it wasn't your body that betrayed you. It was your mind that negotiated. You believed the tiredness. You gave more weight to discomfort than to your purpose. And in that moment, your mind dropped its guard, and the body took control. Your body obeys the one who's most convincing, your laziness or your purpose. That's the daily battle. Every morning, one of those voices wins. That's why you need discipline, consistency, and self-control. Because only with those can you turn what's stopping you today into the fuel that moves you forward. 3 months of acting, even when you don't feel like it is enough to change your relationship with fatigue. Not because your body stops hurting, but because you learn to interpret effort as progress, not as suffering. When your body says enough, stay 5 more minutes. Not out of pride, but as mental training. Those 5 minutes, that's where willpower grows. The body doesn't understand purpose. It only understands orders. If every day you can delay your surrender just a little bit, you'll be forging a mind that doesn't break under pressure. And it's key to learn the difference between useful pain and harmful pain. Useful pain builds you. Harmful pain warns you. One gets you off the couch, the other protects you. Only a trained mind can tell the difference. People without control quit at the first sign of discomfort, but those who train their minds know. The fire that burns can also purify. Marcus Aurelius knew that. He wasn't trying to feel strong. He was trying to stay steady. His body, like yours or mine, had limits, but his mind had direction. Every day that he wrote, that he got up, that he fulfilled his duty, he reinforced that connection. The body acts, the mind commands. That is true freedom. Today, we live in a time where comfort is the new god. Everything is designed to save you effort. Food delivered to your door, endless entertainment, excuses just a click away. But the price of so much ease is steep. Because when everything becomes comfortable, you become weak, and the mind gets used to giving in. Train your body to obey, but train your mind to decide. Start with the smallest things. Get up when the alarm rings, even if you don't want to. Stick to your routine even when you don't feel like it. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Discipline starts with small actions, and if you keep at them for 3 months, you'll notice your mind stops arguing so much and starts acting. That's real transformation, going from constant doubt to automatic action. My friend, your body can give up 1,000 times, but as long as your mind stands tall, you haven't lost. Every time you move forward despite wanting to stop, you're training the most important muscle, your will. That's the strength that builds empires, keeps promises, and changes lives. So next time your body says, "I can't," smile and say, "You don't get to decide." Because the body obeys, but the mind commands. And if you can maintain that order for 3 months, you won't just change your habits, you'll change your destiny. Because in the end, the one who rules their mind rules their life. And now you tell me, when you're about to give up, what helps you keep going? Do you have a trick, a phrase, or a thought that helps you not stop? Share it in the comments. I want to read it. And if you don't have one yet, write, "From today on, my mind doesn't negotiate," because that phrase repeated daily can change everything. Lesson 14. Discipline is also balance. The problem isn't that you lack discipline. It's that when you set a goal, you want to do everything in 1 week. And Marcus Aurelius would probably be looking at you like, "Relax, Rome wasn't built in 7 days." Because that's the trap we all fall into. We think discipline means pushing ourselves to the limit, that it means sacrificing everything, that it's about working non-stop until we burn through every last drop of energy. And then we wonder why we can't sustain it, why we collapse, why after 3 intense weeks we end up back at 0. The answer is simple: because we confuse discipline with self-destruction. What if your lack of balance has nothing to do with working too little or too much, but with not knowing when to stop? Because that's the real issue. It's not that you don't try, it's that you try the wrong way. You give everything for 2 weeks, burn out, quit, and fall back into the same cycle. And every time you do it, you lose a little more trust in yourself, because you keep proving to yourself that you can't stick with what you start. But the truth is different. It's not that you can't, it's that you started at a pace no one can maintain. Seneca said that virtue is stability, not intensity, because intensity is impressive, but stability is what transforms. Marcus Aurelius didn't work non-stop. There were days when he closed his manuscripts, took a deep breath, and said, "Today, I rest too." Not because he was weak, but because he understood that his mind and body needed to recover in order to keep functioning properly. That if he pushed them until they broke, he wouldn't be able to fulfill his duty. And his duty wasn't to impress anyone with his sacrifice. It was to govern with clarity. And clarity doesn't come from exhaustion. It comes from balance. Your life is like a metronome. If it moves too fast, it doesn't make music. If it's too slow, it doesn't either. The Stoics sought the right tempo, that rhythm you can maintain not just today, not just this week, but for months, years, your whole life, because that's what really matters. Not how intense you can be for a month, but how consistent you can be for a decade. And consistency doesn't come from intensity. It comes from balance, from knowing when to push and when to ease up, when to work and when to recover. And here's what no one tells you. Excess breaks balance too, not just lack of effort. Excessive work disconnects you from your relationships. Overtraining leads to injuries. Being hyperproductive steals your ability to enjoy life. Forcing yourself without rest doesn't make you more consistent. It makes you less. Because the body and mind have limits. And when you ignore them, you don't become stronger. You break. Epictetus said the wise person doesn't overdo anything. Not because of morality, but because they know excess has a cost. What looks like extreme discipline today becomes exhaustion that sidelines you for weeks tomorrow. Think about the past few months. Are you living with discipline or just running on empty? There's a huge difference. Discipline is waking up early and working with focus. Exhaustion is waking up early, working poorly, feeling guilty about resting and crashing by the weekend. Discipline is training 4 times a week with consistency. Exhaustion is training 7 days straight until you get injured. Discipline is moving forward at a sustainable pace. Exhaustion is running like something's chasing you until you collapse. And when you collapse, what happens? You beat yourself up. You tell yourself you're not disciplined, that you're weak, that you should be able to handle more, but no, the problem wasn't a lack of discipline. It was a lack of balance, because discipline without balance turns into punishment. And punishment doesn't build you, it breaks you. But discipline with balance, that becomes a form of self-respect. It's how you say to yourself, I care about you enough to push you, but also to protect you, to give you rest when you need it, to not break you in the process of building you. Seneca reflected on rest as part of duty, not as an exception, but as an essential part of it, because he understood that an exhausted body can't support a clear mind, and a confused mind can't make good decisions. So rest wasn't a luxury, it was a strategy. It was part of discipline, not the opposite. Because resting well helps you work better, and working better helps you make real progress, not in a one-week sprint, but in the marathon of your whole life. Lesson 15. Stop wasting energy on useless battles. You're walking down the street in a hurry, lost in your thoughts. You get to a crosswalk and stop, waiting. Suddenly, zzz, a group of cyclists whizzes by at full speed. 1, 2, 3. Not a single one stops. You crane your neck and say out loud with that irony that only comes out when you're annoyed, "Thanks for letting me cross, huh?" One of the cyclists stops, screeches to a halt, turns around and yells, "We don't have to stop, get your facts straight before you speak." You snap back. He answers louder. Another cyclist joins in. You raise your voice. He raises his even more. And by the time you realize it, you're standing in the middle of the street, arms in the air, arguing with strangers like it's life or death, while cars honk and nobody backs down. There are arguments, my friend, that are like fighting an angry duck. Lots of noise, flapping, splashing, and in the end, you're just wet, exhausted and wondering what for. And the worst part is, you lose something even more valuable than your time, your peace. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself of something we still need to hear today. If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. Even as emperor, he endured insults, betrayals, and constant disputes at court. And instead of answering every attack with anger, he would silently remind himself that every pointless battle only pulled him further from his purpose. He often chose to stay quiet, breathe, and decide what truly deserved his attention. He said you have to protect your mind as if it were a walled city. Don't let just anyone in. Don't let every tiny spark light a fire inside you, because that's exactly what's stealing your peace. You want to be right with that stranger on the street. You want to fire back at that passive-aggressive comment in the group chat. You want to win the argument with that obnoxious cousin at Christmas dinner. And you don't even realize that all the while, your energy drains away and your mind fills with smoke. So, my friend, the next time an angry duck tries to drag you into its pond, try this. Do it this week and see how unrecognizable you feel after. First, when you feel your blood start to boil, quietly ask yourself, will this still matter a week from now? If the answer is no, and most of the time it is, let out your breath. Smile and keep walking. It's almost funny to see the other person's face when you don't take the bait. Also, make up a secret signal with yourself. It could be tapping your thigh, pressing your thumb, or even thinking of a silly word like duck. That's to remind yourself in the middle of the chaos, not my battle. And finally, channel that energy into something better. Instead of stewing over the argument all day, do something completely absurd and light. Watch a video of squirrels on skateboards, call a friend and tell them the story with humor, or treat yourself to an ice cream. Yes, an ice cream. Much better than wearing yourself out. Look, in the end, this isn't about being weak or letting people walk all over you. It's about choosing where you want to put your strength and your stoic energy. Believe me, if this week you choose wisely which battles to fight and which to let go, you'll notice something incredible. Suddenly you have more clarity, more lightness, and people see you differently. Because when you act with discipline, clarity, and courage, Even when that means not reacting, you start to transform. So tell me, my friend, what silly battle are you going to drop this week to protect your peace? Leave it in the comments, and if you want, write down this mantra so you don't forget. My peace is not for sale. Lesson 16. Start with a step, not a leap. How many times have you said, tomorrow I'll go all in, only to find yourself having breakfast the next day like nothing happened? We've all done it. We've all believed that change has to be dramatic to be real. That if we don't overhaul our entire life at once, it's not even worth trying. Marcus Aurelius would probably laugh with you, because he understood something you're still learning. You don't need to start with a leap. You just need to start, one step, just one. Small, concrete, manageable. Because leaps are scary, steps are freeing. Why are you trying to change your whole life in one leap when you haven't even learned how to walk without fear? That's the trap. You commit to everything at once, you'll train every day, eat perfectly, work 2 hours daily on your project, read a book a week, and on Monday you start with all that energy. Tuesday feels harder, Wednesday you slip up, by Thursday you've quit. Not because you're weak, but because the leap was too big. And when the leap is too big, the fall is too hard. Epictetus taught that progress comes from small acts repeated, not from grand promises that break at the first sign of difficulty. I recently heard James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, share a story that might seem minor, but explains better than any theory why we fail when we try to change everything at once. He talked about a professional he was coaching, a brilliant guy, super talented, who kept saying year after year, "This time I'm getting serious about my personal project." Every January, he'd buy new planners, set up intense schedules, and promise to work 2 hours a day no matter what. And of course, he never lasted more than 5 days. Until one day, James said something that, by his own admission, bruised the man's ego. "Today, your only goal is to work on your project for 2 minutes, just 2, not a second more." The man was offended. 2 minutes? That's pointless. But he did it. 2 minutes. Closing the laptop afterward made him feel a mix of shame and relief. But he'd done it. And the next day, he did it again. And again. And something strange happened. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel guilt or pressure or that overwhelming sense of, "I have to do this perfectly today." He just did 2 minutes. Within weeks, those 2 minutes naturally became 10, 20 full work sessions. No forcing, no burnout, no boom and bust pattern of intense motivation followed by complete abandonment. James Clear summed it up with a line that could have been written by a Stoic. Small habits don't change your life instantly, but they change your identity. And identity is what drives everything else. And that's exactly what Stoicism teaches. You don't need a perfect leap. You need a step that turns you into the kind of person who moves forward. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations in a single weekend of inspiration. It was word by word. One line every night, one small step each day. He didn't write when he felt inspired. He wrote because it was his practice, his little daily ritual. And that ritual, repeated over years, created one of the most important philosophical works in history. Not because of intensity, because of consistency. Because he understood that real growth makes no noise. It doesn't impress. It accumulates. Your life is like a thick book you want to finish. You won't get there by rereading the table of contents every day. You'll get there by reading one page at a time. The Stoics lived their lives page by page. They didn't chase heroic days, they chased consistent days. Days where they did the minimum required to keep moving forward. Because they knew that the minimum, repeated over years, beats the maximum that only lasts a few weeks. What matters is not how much you do today, but how much you can sustain tomorrow, and the next day, and a year from now. Here's the problem. The pressure of making a big change is paralyzing. When you say, "I'm changing everything this Monday," you're already setting impossible expectations. You're going to read a book a week, train 2 hours a day, be perfect. And that pressure, that unrealistic demand, destroys more than it builds. Because when you inevitably fail at something, you feel like you failed at everything. So you quit. Not because you can't, but because you started by demanding Olympic performance when you were just learning to walk. 17th lesson. Act like your best self, starting now. Let me ask you an uncomfortable question. If someone followed you around all day with a camera, and that video was screened in a theater under the title, "The Best Version of You," would you like what you saw? Picture it. You, the moment the alarm goes off, Monday face, hair a mess, scrolling your phone without energy. Later, at work, just doing the bare minimum, waiting for the day to be over. And in the evening, putting off everything you said you'd do when you have more time. Is that really the movie you'd want people to watch? It's funny, my friend. So many people wait to be the ideal version of themselves before acting like it. As if one day, out of nowhere, a magical light will shine on them and suddenly make them disciplined, clear, and brave. Waiting to feel ready to act is like waiting for your car to be perfectly clean before starting a road trip. It never happens. Start the trip with the car dirty, but start now. Your best self isn't some faraway destination or a title someone hands you. It's a suit that's already hanging in your closet. You just have to put it on. No one's going to dress you. And if you're still struggling to believe it, listen to Marcus Aurelius. He didn't sit around writing theories about what it would be like to be a good emperor. He ruled through plagues and wars, making tough decisions every day. That's why he wrote, "Stop debating what a good man should be. Be one. Today." That's simple. He doesn't say tomorrow, not when everything's perfect. Today. And you know who understood this perfectly? James Clear, author of Atomic Habits. When he started, he was nobody. No books, no publishing contracts, no massive audience. But he decided to write daily on his blog as if he were already a recognized author. He didn't behave like a timid beginner. He acted like a professional from day one. Little by little, that attitude attracted opportunities until he sold millions of copies. He didn't wait for the suit to be ironed. He put it on and stepped outside. And this works in the little things too. On an ordinary Monday, your boss asks for a volunteer to lead a presentation. You think, "I'm no good at this." But something inside says, "Put it on. Now." You raise your hand, prepare your slides carefully, even rehearse in front of the mirror and throw in a bad joke to break the ice. On Friday, when you finish, people applaud and someone whispers, "You were born for this." And you smile because you know it was precisely that act of doing it before you felt ready that made you unrecognizable. So if you want to wear that suit, here's how. Start today. First, dress like someone who already has the life they want. Even if no one else notices, you will. It's not about spending money. Just choose something that makes you feel steadier, more confident, more like the main character in your own story. Then, in the little decisions you face every day, ask yourself, what would my ideal self do? And act accordingly, even in the tiniest things. What to eat, how to respond when someone irritates you, whether to train or stay on the couch. Those tiny choices are what build the character. And finally, here's an exercise for you. Write a letter to yourself from the future. Imagine you're you a year from now writing to thank you for starting today. Thanking you for daring to be who you wanted to be without waiting for an invitation. Keep that letter and read it whenever laziness tries to sneak in. My friend, no one is going to give you permission to be your best self. No one is going to hang a medal around your neck before you start running. But if you decide to put on that suit and walk with discipline, clarity, and courage, even when you don't feel like it, I promise that in just 7 days, you won't even recognize yourself. Trust me, start today. And a week from now, you'll look in the mirror and think, this is me. Lesson number 18. Comfort holds back your growth. When your alarm goes off, your bed turns into the best philosopher in the world, convincing you that everything can wait. 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. After all, what's one day? And you're right, one day is nothing. But 100 days, 1,000, that's everything, and just like that, without even realizing it, comfort becomes your way of life, not as a conscious choice, but as a silent surrender. Marcus Aurelius also had a warm bed. He also had tough days, physical pain, long nights. And still, every morning he wrote, "Get up." You were not born to lie under the blankets. He didn't write it to sound heroic. He wrote it because he understood something you're still learning. Comfort doesn't give you rest, it gives you fragility. Think about it. When was the last time you did something that truly made you uncomfortable? I'm not talking about heroic acts, not climbing a mountain or facing your deepest fear. I'm talking about simple things. Getting up at the first alarm, training in the cold, saying that uncomfortable truth you've been avoiding for weeks, making that hard call, starting that project you've been putting off. Small discomforts that deep down you know would make you better, but you don't do them because comfort always has a better argument. It always has a reason why you can wait. And while you wait, you become weaker. Not because you're bad, but because the muscle that isn't used weakens. Epictetus used to say this to his students, and he wasn't just talking about the body. He was talking about character, willpower, and the ability to do hard things, which is what defines you as a person. Imagine your life is like a room with the heater running all day. At first it feels good. You feel warm, protected. But then it starts to dull you. You become sensitive to even the slightest temperature change. And eventually, even stepping out onto the balcony feels like too much. Because you've gotten used to this artificial climate where nothing challenges you. The Stoics opened windows. They didn't want to live in an emotionally climate-controlled world. They wanted to be ready for the cold, for the heat, for the unexpected. Because life doesn't come with a thermostat. And if you only know how to function in comfort, the first hit of reality will break you. Seneca lived a life full of luxury, wealth, power, influence. He could have stayed there, enjoying every comfort the Roman Empire had to offer. But he didn't. He practiced voluntary fasting. He sometimes slept on the floor. He wore simple clothes, not because he hated pleasure, but because he understood that if his well-being depended on comfort, then he wasn't free. He was a slave to his circumstances. And what he was after, what all Stoics were after, was internal strength. That ability to be okay even when nothing around you is. Because life will put you in uncomfortable situations. It won't ask. It won't wait until you're ready. And if you only know how to function when everything's easy, you'll fall apart. Now think about your past week. How many times did you choose what was easy over what was necessary? Stayed home instead of moving your body? Ate what was fast instead of what was healthy? Watched another episode instead of working on your project? Delayed a hard conversation? Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing weakness. Not out of malice, not because you're lazy, but because comfort is addictive. And like any addiction, it numbs you at first, but empties you over time. It takes away your ability to respond to life with strength. It turns you into someone reactive instead of proactive, someone who waits for things to get easier instead of getting stronger for the hard. And here's the brutal part. Imagine you go an entire month doing only what's comfortable. Nothing hard, nothing challenging. Just what you feel like when you feel like it, how you feel like it. Who are you drifting away from, your best self or your worst? The answer's obvious. Because your best self doesn't live in comfort. It lives where you challenge yourself, where you do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, where you keep your word even when it's hard. That version of you doesn't appear by magic. It shows up when you train discomfort like a muscle, small daily doses, little by little, until what once felt hard doesn't scare you so much anymore. Lesson 19. Don't wait for motivation. Build structure. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? You say it with good intentions, wanting to believe it, but that tomorrow almost never comes. Not because you don't want to improve, but because you're waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for that moment when your body aligns, your mind wakes up, and everything feels easier. But my friend, that moment never comes. Motivation is a fickle visitor. It shows up when it wants and disappears right when you need it most. Think of it like a match. It lights fast, shines for a few seconds, but the moment the wind blows, it's out. And then you're left in the dark, searching for another one. But no, you don't need more matches. What you need is to build a flame that doesn't rely on the moment. And that flame is called structure. Structure is what you do when you don't feel like it. It's what keeps the fire going when excitement runs out. Motivation helps you start. Structure forces you to keep going. It's habit that saves you when the emotion fades. Seneca put it another way. If a man does not know to what port he is sailing, no wind is favorable. Most people live waiting for the wind to push them forward, but they never build a rudder. And without a rudder, any excuse becomes a storm. That's why you need structure, because without direction, any distraction can throw you off course. Eric Thomas, one of the most intense speakers of our time, shouted to his audience, "When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful." But what most people forget is that he wasn't talking about a feeling. He was talking about action. Even the most passionate people know that emotion runs out. Real change happens when you do the right thing even when you don't feel anything. Think about it. A father who wakes up every morning at 5 to work doesn't do it because he's motivated. A mother who gets up at dawn to care for her family doesn't do it because she's full of energy. They do it because they have structure. Because they understand that life doesn't wait for you to be in the mood. Life demands movement. The Stoics lived with that truth etched into their skin. They didn't act out of inspiration, but because they knew each day was a chance to train their character. Discipline, consistency, and self-control don't come from emotion. They come from commitment to yourself. If you repeat the same actions every day, even without seeing immediate results, in 3 months you'll have transformed your mind more than you can imagine. Start by designing your environment. If it's hard to wake up in the morning to work out, lay out your clothes the night before. Remove the obstacle before your mind looks for an excuse. That way, you don't have to decide. You just do it. Same with work, studies, or any goal. The less you rely on willpower, the easier it is to stay consistent. Set a minimum schedule, not a perfect one. You don't need to do it all, you just need to do it every day. If one day you can't run 10 kilometers, run 1. If you can't read for an hour, read for 5 minutes. What matters is not how much you do. It's that you don't break the habit. Structure gets stronger with repetition, not intensity. And most importantly, stop negotiating with yourself every day. If you've already decided what you're going to do, just do it. The more you think about it, the more power you give to laziness. Your mind will search for reasons to stop you. And if you give it time, it'll find them. Act before you overthink. Motivation is like the weather. It changes constantly. One day it's sunny, the next it's raining. If you depend on that, you'll never have stability. But if you build your routine, even when the storm hits, you'll still light your fire. That's structure. Think about what you could achieve if, for 3 months, you stopped waiting to feel ready and simply acted. 3 months of daily consistency. No excuses, no relying on the highs of the moment. There's no formula more powerful than that. Because motivation is fleeting, but structure grows roots. The difference between someone who makes progress and someone who keeps starting over is this. The first builds systems, the second chases feelings. The first gets disciplined, the second gets excited. Motivation might carry you for a day, but structure holds you up for life. So stop waiting for the perfect day to arrive. It won't. Create a plan, stick to it, repeat it, adjust it, improve it, but don't stop. 3 months might not seem like much, but if you stay faithful to your structure, you'll see your mind, your body, and your life shift more than you ever did with motivation alone. Motivation is a visitor. Structure is your home. Build yours, and then you'll never have to wait for it to come back. Lesson 20. Check your group. Do they lift you up or drag you down? Picture this. It's Friday night, and finally your band gets to play at that downtown bar. You step on stage with your guitar, nervous but excited. The first chords start to ring out, and it's a disaster. The drummer comes in late, the bassist is out of tune, and the singer screams off key. You give it your all, try to hold the rhythm, even pull off a brilliant solo. But it doesn't matter. No matter what you do, the song still sounds awful because the rest aren't playing with you. Your circle works the same way. You can be disciplined, clear, and brave like a Stoic, but if you surround yourself with people who don't harmonize with you, who complain, who don't move forward, you'll end up feeling the same. Spending time with the wrong people is like trying to run through sand with a backpack and heavy boots. You move forward, sure, but slowly, with every step feeling twice as hard. And at the end of the race, you're not even sure it was worth it. Sometimes it seems easier to stay with the same old group, the same conversations, the same jokes, the same complaints. But that also leaves you stuck in the same place. Seneca warned us clearly, as long as we waste time with those who do not make us better, we ourselves stop improving. He lived by it. In his letters, he asked advice from those he admired and withdrew from those who just filled time with trivialities. He said the quality of the people around you shapes your character. And he was right. Because the discipline and clarity of a Stoic don't depend only on you, but also on the air you breathe around you. Tyler Cowen, an economist who now runs one of the most influential blogs in his field, learned this well. For years, he met with colleagues who only complained about the market and their bad luck. Until one day, walking out of yet another headache-inducing, idealist meeting, he thought, "What am I doing here?" He started seeking out meetings with people who challenged him, who pushed him to think, who didn't buy into his excuses. And that's when his career took off. He changed bands, and the music finally started to sound right. I bet you felt this too. Imagine, you go out on a Friday with your coworkers. Everyone starts bad-mouthing the boss, retelling the same stories from years ago, while the table fills with empty bottles and empty promises of next time, for real. You check your watch, force a smile, and think, this is why I came. The next week you say no. Instead, you accept an invitation from a colleague to check out a debate club. There, between arguments and laughter, you meet people who later team up with you on a project that actually excites you. In just 7 days, you feel the air is different. So, my friend, are you ready to make your band play in tune? Here are 3 steps to start choosing your people wisely, and in 1 week, feel unrecognizable. First, notice how you feel after spending time with someone. If every encounter leaves you drained, dull, ready to crawl into bed and do nothing else, put that relationship on pause. You don't need to announce it or fight. Just take a little distance and see how your energy changes. And yes, I know, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to endure someone because their family or the rest of your friends don't feel the same way. But here's a trick. When that person starts in with their usual complaints or bad vibes, imagine you're tuning your instrument and can't hear the background noise. Or if you dare, change the subject with humor. Hey, tell me something good that happened to you today instead. You'll see that some go quiet, and the ones who matter will stay. Next, identify one person who inspires you, someone who, even if they intimidate you a little, makes you want to be your best. Invite them for coffee or a walk. They could be someone you already know, or even someone you follow online. Most of the time, they'll say yes. Third, make plans with the ones who actually add to your life. Use that magic phrase, "Why don't we do this more often?" It can be simple, a walk in the park, a quiet dinner, even a small joint project. What matters is that they remind you what you're capable of being. My friend, don't settle for playing in a band that's out of tune. No, you deserve better. If you want to be unrecognizable this week, pick bandmates who make you sound like never before. Because when your surroundings change, you change too. And sometimes it only takes 7 days to start hearing a whole new melody in your life. And now, don't go just yet, because there's one last piece to your total transformation, the one that ties everything you've learned together and pushes you to the next level. Are you ready? Lesson 21. All your disciplines are connected. Have you noticed that when you neglect your body, it's harder to concentrate? Or that when you argue with someone important, your work suffers that day? Or that when your space is a mess, your mind feels cluttered too? You're not strange. It's not a coincidence. The Stoics already knew. Everything is connected. Your body affects your mind affects your emotions, Your emotions affect your decisions. Your decisions affect your life. These aren't separate areas, they're all parts of a system. And when one breaks down, you feel it everywhere. When you improve one, you improve everything. Seneca had a phrase that should be burned into everyone's mind. It's absurd to have a clean house and a dirty mind. He didn't say it to criticize. He said it because he saw how people polished their outer appearance while letting their inner world fall apart. And then they wondered why they felt so empty. It's because everything is connected. When you tidy up your space, you're training your mind to organize ideas. When you care for your body, you're strengthening your discipline, which carries over into your work. When you manage your time well, you're learning how to manage your relationships. Nothing is isolated. Everything feeds everything else. You probably know this feeling. It starts with something small. You don't clean your room. Just for today, no big deal. The next day you feel more tired. You don't know why, but something feels heavier. You postpone an important project. You work worse. You sleep worse because you feel guilty. The next morning you wake up even more drained. It's a domino effect. Epictetus said it clearly. What you do in one part of your life, you do in all of it. Because your character doesn't change by category. The way you act is the way you act. And if you allow disorder in one area, you're allowing it in all of them. Think about it. When you train your body, you're not just improving your health. You're training your mind to stick to routines, to follow through when you don't feel like it, to be consistent. And that consistency spills into your work, your relationships, your ability to sustain long-term projects. When you clean your space, you're not just tidying up, you're clearing your head. Every item out of place is a micro-decision waiting to be made. And those micro-decisions add up, draining your mental energy without you realizing it. When you improve your sleep, you don't just rest better. You improve your emotional regulation, your patience, your decision-making. Everything is connected, my friend. It always has been. Marcus Aurelius trained his emotional self-control every single day, not because he was naturally calm, but because he knew that an emperor without inner mastery was a danger to everyone. One bad decision made in anger could cost lives. So he practiced equanimity like a muscle, and that emotional practice improved his leadership, his ability to listen, his way of ruling. He understood he couldn't separate his inner world from his external one. If his mind was in chaos, his empire would be too. That's the core of Stoicism, to live as a coherent system, where all parts of you work together, not against each other. Now think about the last day you neglected just one thing. Your sleep, your diet, your space, a conversation you avoided. How did that affect the rest of your day? You slept badly, woke up irritated, ate poorly, felt heavy and sluggish, left your space messy, and your thoughts felt scattered, avoided a conversation, and spent the day obsessing over it. Because disorder in one area always demands a price in another, and discipline in one area always brings light to everything else. That's the key most people miss. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to fix one thing. And let that one improvement ripple outward. You've probably seen this in someone. A chef who started by organizing his kitchen. Just that. But by organizing his kitchen, he improved the way he worked. And by improving how he worked, he cleared his mind. And by clearing his mind, he reorganized his life. It wasn't magic. It was the understanding that everything is connected. Or a teacher who began taking morning walks, not to lose weight, just to clear her mind. But clearing her mind improved her teaching. That improved her patience. That improved her relationships. One thing led to another. Because that's how real growth works. Not in isolated compartments, but in expanding waves. Lesson 22. Cut the noise, listen to your purpose. Marcus Aurelius had everything the world could offer. Power, wealth, armies, respect. And still, every night, he did something very few powerful people dare to do. He sat alone in silence and wrote. Not speeches, not commands, just thoughts, doubts, mistakes, lessons from the day. He didn't do it to leave behind a legacy. He did it to hear himself again. In one of those reflections, he wrote, retreat into yourself. Nowhere can man find a more peaceful haven. That one line sums up a truth we've forgotten. You can't build discipline if you don't know how to listen to your own purpose. We live surrounded by noise. Not literal noise, mental noise. Notifications, messages, videos, meaningless conversations. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone is shouting. Everyone wants your attention. We jump from one thing to another, thinking we're making progress. But in reality, we're just spinning in circles. We confuse movement with progress. But discipline isn't built in the noise. It's built in clarity. And clarity only comes when you dare to stop. Imagine your mind as a lake. If the water is agitated, you can't see the bottom. But when the surface is still, everything becomes clear. That's how your thoughts work. If you never make space for silence, you'll never see what's truly driving you. And the strange thing is, many people avoid that silence because they're afraid of what they might find in there. They'd rather live in the noise than face their own truth. Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." And tell me, isn't that exactly what's happening to us today? At work, we're thinking about our phones. On our phones, we're thinking about the weekend. On the weekend, we're thinking about all the things we didn't finish at work. A scattered mind is a silent enemy. That's why the Stoics trained focus like a muscle. They knew that if you don't control your attention, you don't control your life. Epictetus made it clear, no one is free who is not master of themselves. If you can't go 10 minutes without checking your phone, without music, without distraction, then you're not choosing your thoughts. You're just absorbing everyone else's. Every time you open your phone just to check something quickly, and suddenly an hour's gone, you're drifting further from yourself. You've heard everyone, except you. My friend, a disciplined mind isn't one that does more. It's one that knows when to stop. Because it's not just about acting. It's about acting with direction. 3 months is all it takes to retrain your focus. If you learn to create your own moments of silence, start with something simple. A daily noise fast. 10 minutes with no music, no screens, no conversation. Just you breathing, letting your thoughts quiet down. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the sign that you're reconnecting with yourself. Another simple practice. Start the day without touching your phone. Don't open it the moment you wake up. Get up, breathe, think about what you want to build today, before the world tells you what to think. And at the end of the day, ask yourself one question. Who did I listen to more today? The world or myself? The answer will tell you exactly where you're headed. The Stoics didn't need spiritual retreats or mantras. Their meditation was reflection. Their temple was the mind. And their prayer, discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek peace in solitude. He found strength in silence. Because when the outside noise dies down, your inner voice stops whispering and starts guiding. Clarity doesn't come from more information. It comes from less distraction. It comes when you dare to be still and face what you've been avoiding. In that uncomfortable silence, you begin to understand what you want, what you need, and who you want to become. And once that understanding arrives, so does direction. Discipline, consistency, and self-control start flowing naturally when your mind knows where it's going. So cut the noise. Shut down what distracts you, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Listen to the silence, because there, in the stillness you're so afraid of, is your purpose waiting for you. Silence isn't emptiness. It's the space your true voice needs to speak. And once you start hearing it, you'll see how in just 3 months everything starts to align. Your actions, your energy, your decisions. Not because the world has changed, but because finally you're listening to the one who's in charge. If you're ready to truly listen to yourself, declare it with one simple sentence. Today, I turn down the volume of the world to hear myself. Because silence doesn't pull you away from life, it brings you back to it. Discipline yourself, even when you don't feel like it. Stay consistent, even when no one's watching. Force yourself to grow, even when it hurts. Because transformation doesn't happen in a single day. It happens through the small actions you repeat when no one is looking. 3 months can change everything if you decide to stop postponing your life and start building it with intention, presence, and courage. If you've made it this far, write this in the comments. My discipline is my identity. That tells me you're one of us, the few who choose growth over comfort. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so we can keep building this mindset day by day. There are more videos waiting for you, because real change happens one step at a time. Click now, and let's keep moving forward.